Reverend Honda will now ring the Kansho, calling us to service. Thank you. The processional is beginning, and Reverend Imori will chant the Kanbutsu, and they will offer sweet tea. Good morning. Buenos dias. Ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome to our Hanamatsuri service, where we'll be celebrating the birth of the Buddha. When you or I have a birthday, we might have some birthday cake. When the Buddha has a birthday, we give the Buddha a bath or shower. We bathe him in sweet tea. Hanamatsuri literally means flower festival. And some of the Dharma kids came in yesterday on their hard-earned day off to decorate the Hanamido, and they did a beautiful job. And some of the adults do the pre-prep before the kids decorate. And so I remember one year, Avis was showing me how to snap the stems with our fingers. And all my fingers turned green, except my thumb. I didn't get a green thumb. Then after the service, some of us will be going over to the annex, which is the building next door, and we'll be having tostada and playing bingo, so the celebration will continue. It's actually a fundraiser for Lahaina, so it's for a good cause. My name is Shirley, and my pronouns are she, her. During the pandemic, I was in a Zoom meeting, and the host asked me, "What is your name and what are your pronouns?" And I was like, what is my name and what are my pronouns? And so finally, after deep thought, I said, "Can you repeat the question, please?" And so that evening, I learned my pronouns. And a couple weeks ago, the Ichimi group representatives came down from Gardena and did a presentation for us. And the Ichimi group is a support group for the LGBTQ Dharma friends. And then they may start one at our temple. Anyway, so if you were there, one of the key takeaways was dimmer switch. If you were there, you know what it means. If you weren't there and you're curious what it means, ask Reverend Smitty when she returns. Are there any first-time visitors to our service today? Please stand. Yay. Welcome. You may be seated. You're in for one of our most beautiful of services with all the flowers. Unless you have allergies, you might hear a lot of sneezing. But welcome to our temple. Reverend Laverne Shidou Imori will be our officiant today. When I met Laverne, it was before she became a reverend, and she would say, "We're Laverne and Shirley." Now it's, "We're Reverend Laverne and Shirley." It doesn't quite have the same ring to it. And if you're too young to remember, maybe you'll see it on a rerun, what I'm talking about, or ask your parents or grandparents. Certified Minister's Assistant Yukari Williams will be assisting today. And Yukari named her puppy Hana, which means flower. And she jokingly said that she had to explain to her puppy that Hanamatsuri was not in celebration of her. Aww. And music will be provided by Trishia Carinio. She also has a lovely voice. So if you don't know the tune, you can follow Trishia. And thank you, Brevin, for ringing the Kansho. Okay, we will now have the sutra chanting Sambujo, which can be found in the Blue Book on page 21. That's page 21. Reverend Imori will lead us in the chanting. And after the chanting, she will do the Hyobyakumon, which is the intention of service. So that's page 21.
Bujo Kyono Hyobyakumon. In the presence of Amida Buddha, which we all experience as wisdom and compassion, light and life, we're gathered today to observe Hanamatsuri, or the flower festival, which marks the birth of Siddhartha Gautama in Lumbini's garden. The actual day of celebration is tomorrow, April 8th. Siddhartha Gautama, also known as Shakyamuni Buddha, was born over 2,500 years ago in a place called Lumbini's garden. In Jodo Shinshu tradition, we celebrate this day as Hanamatsuri, or flower festival, because it's said that in Lumbini's garden was a bloom with beautiful, beautiful flowers. It's also said that the heavens that day were so overjoyed with the birth that it caused a sweet rain to fall and bathe the newborn baby. It's a time to celebrate this joyous occasion and once again hear and be reminded of the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, who was born and became Shakyamuni Buddha, our teacher who gifted us with the Dharma. Please join me. Namo Kie Butsu. I go to the Buddha for guidance. Namo Kie Ho. I go to the Dharma for guidance. Namo Kie So. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amidabutsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu. Hearing the name and desiring to be born in the Pure Land, all can attain birth and attain the rank of the truly settled. Namo Amidabutsu, Namandabutsu, 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 Namandabutsu.
We will now chant the Juseigei, which can be found on page 35. That's page 35. Reverend Imori will lead us.
Gagoncho segan hishimu jodo shigan humanzok seifu josho gak gao muryoko hui dai seshu Husai shobingu seifu josho gak gashi jobutsu do myosho chojippo kukyo mishomon seifu josho gak Ryokujin shonen Joeshu bongyo Shigumu jodo Isho tennishi Jinriki endai ko Fusho musaido Shoujo sankumyo Kosai shuyakunan Kaihichi egen Meshi konmo an Heisoku sho akudo Tsudaten zen shumon Koso jo manzok Iyoro jippo Nichigaten shujuki Tenko ombugen Ishu kai hozo Koseku dokuho Jo dai shuchu seppo shishiku kuyo isai butsu gusoku shutoku hon ganne shinjo man toku isangai o Nyobutsu mugechi Tsudatsumi fusho Gangaku erik Toshi sai shoson Shiganyako Daisen okando Koku shotenin Touchimyoke Namandabu 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 Ganni shikudoku Byodo seisai Doho Please join me in Nembutsu Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Next, we will have sweet tea offering and floral offerings by representatives from the different organizations of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego. If you're one of the representatives, please go to the back and pick up the flowers. Thank you. Representing the Dharma School students is Kaden Kawahara and Penelope Schmidt. Representing the Dharma School staff, Roy Okuhara and Karen Tom. Representing the Sangha teens is Kobe Kawahara. Representing the junior YBAs is Andrea Covarrubias and Cassidy Muraoka. Representing ABBA, the Adult Buddhist Association, is a dynamic duo of Ralph and Avis Honda. Representing the BWA, the Buddhist Women's Association, is Naomi Himaka and our centenarian, Ruth Voorhees. Ruth Voorhees is 101. Representing Taiko is Kevin Brogan and Laura Yoshida. Representing Komon, the past presidents, are Joyce Teague and Glenn Torrio. Thanks, Glenn, for substituting for the other Glenn at the last minute. Representing the Buddhist Temple of San Diego is current president Kurt Yasuhara and recent past president, Luan Lee. Thank you, representatives. Next, please stand if you're able for the gatha in Lumbini's garden. It can be found on page 119. That's page 119. And Trishia will provide the music. Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you. You may be seated. Now we'll have a special presentation by Reverend Imori of the Padma Awards.
Good morning, everyone. Today was very special, not only because it's Hanamatsuri, but it was also the day that two very special members of our Sangha, two very young leaders and promising future leaders of Buddhist Temple of San Diego. So you two need to remember, after you graduate from college, you have to come back. But anyway, due to my lack of planning and preparation, unfortunately, I didn't get the certificates and the medals. But this is actually, I'd like to formally make this the presentation of the Sangha Award to Cassidy Muraoka. And this is a scouting award that is earned through very many hours. The requirement was 100 hours, but Cassidy exceeded that number by quite some time. And then the Padma Award, which is a Girl Scout award, and these are senior awards, goes to Andrea Covarrubias. And again, her hours requirements was 80, but I think we calculated like over 200 hours of service. Part of the reason was we actually started the program before COVID. And so COVID was 2020, it's now 2023, so it's been 3 years. We actually probably completed the program way before now, but due, again, to my bombu-ness, my ignorance and stupidity, I guess I should call it, and procrastination. I told the girls that one of the characteristic personality features of being a minister's assistant is procrastination. And then they both fessed up that their Dharma talk, which they're presenting today, was prepared last night or this morning. My Dharma talk was finished this morning, so they are going to make wonderful, I'm hoping, youth ministers' assistants in the future. But I do want them to come up, be acknowledged, and when the awards come in, I will again put that on the program, and we will formally give them their medals. So please, Cassidy Muraoka and Andrea Covarrubias, please come on up and be acknowledged, and let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. So I do want to reintroduce them. They will actually be presenting the Dharma School Dharma talk this morning. So I understand Andrea will go first, and then Cassidy. So onegaishimasu.
Second. Good morning. My name is Andrea Covarrubias, and I will be showing you how to Hanamatsuri. But first, what is Hanamatsuri? Hanamatsuri is a Buddhist holiday that celebrates the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama was born on April 8th in Lumbini's garden. When he was born, all the flowers in the garden bloomed, and sweet rain fell. And he took 7 steps and proclaimed, "Heavens above and heavens below, I alone am the world-honored one," with his right hand pointed up and his left hand, his right hand pointed down and his left hand pointed up. And pretty big overachiever baby Buddha was. Because of this story, we celebrate with lots of flowers and offer sweet tea. The Hanamido, or the altar in the middle there, is neatly decorated with beautiful flowers. But this could not have been done magically. It is the Dharma School teachers and students who came yesterday and organized, cut, and placed each flower into the Hanamido or into one of the lovely bouquets. We can also thank the people who brought the flowers to the temple, the people who grew them, and even the sun and dirt and water that aided in the process. This is a great representation of the idea of interdependence. The other part of Hanamatsuri, pouring tea on the baby Buddha. You haven't been here very long if you haven't heard Mr. Greg Yonakura share about his job of making the green tea for today's festivities. Without Mr. Greg, we would be tealess, and we would not be able to give our offerings to the baby Buddha for his birthday. Which today I want to share with you how to pour the tea at the Hanamido. First, bow and then step forward with your left foot exactly like you would when offering incense. Then grab the ladle and some tea and pour it on the Buddha's left shoulder, which is your right hand. And then you gassho and step back with your right foot and bow again. And of course, admire the pretty flowers while you're up there. Now it's your turn. Well, not now, but when you come up here, you will hopefully be prepared to make an offering. And again, I would like to remind us all that we can only have this beautiful celebration because of the many people who come together to make it happen. From the students and teachers who decorated the hondo yesterday, to Mr. Greg who makes the tea, and our ministers and Shirley and our tech team, they did have to help me for 10 minutes to set this computer up. And of course, everyone in attendance today. Our Sangha is a prime example of interdependence and the way in which it enriches and benefits us all. Thank you, and happy birthday, Buddha.
Next, Cassidy Muraoka will give her Dharma message.
Good morning. Okay, good. You guys all replied. So my name is Cassidy Muraoka, and I'm here to give the second portion of today's Dharma talk. So I just want to say, Andrea, I really like your talk. The slides were really cute, and thank you, Sensei Laverne, for this opportunity. I really appreciate everything you do for our temple. Even with your super busy schedule, you still find time to help out with everything here. So a little background about me. You might know me as Ken and Sharon's daughter, or Trevor's little sister. Or maybe you're just like, who are you? I've never seen you before in my entire life. And that's cool too. I've been a part of the temple for really my whole life. I came out of the womb and they were like, you're Buddhist. And I was like, okay, Namo Dabutsu. So today I was asked to talk to you all, the Sangha. I'm just gonna hold this. About Hanamatsuri, but more specifically, my experience with it from someone who has been a part of the temple for a while. So what is Hanamatsuri? My answer 10 years ago would have been that Hanamatsuri is about flowers. 10 years ago, I was 6 years old, Hanamatsuri was the day carnations, lilies, and irises adorned the hondo. I didn't see it as Buddha's birthday, I saw it as a day about flowers. And to a 6-year-old, the whole concept of Hanamatsuri is crazy. When your teacher asks you what you did over the weekend, I can guarantee you that they are not expecting you to say, oh yeah, I helped build a house out of flowers and then poured green tea onto a little statue inside. No one's expecting that. So thinking about my old experiences made me curious about my point of view now. So I asked myself again, what is Hanamatsuri? My answer now is that Hanamatsuri is a celebration. Now you may be thinking, wow, Cassidy, you really like to give us really basic answers. And to that, yeah, I do, but a lot of thought goes into my answers. So yes, of course, Hanamatsuri is celebrated to acknowledge the birth of the Buddha, but right now, to 16-year-old me, it's not just a celebration of the Buddha, but a celebration of us as a Sangha. Here's a question for you. What kind of flower are you? Are you a daisy, a rose, a lotus? I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, let's come back. I'm not going to ask for your answer because even if you all told me 100 different answers, we are all still the same. Just like all flowers, we grow, we change, and eventually we will wilt. If I compare my first Hanamatsuri to my most recent, the constant is the flowers, but the change has been the people. Each year, I see new faces, but I'm missing seeing faces from my past. Growth and wilt. Look around. The people next to you may not be here at temple next week, next month, or next year. Where we are now, who we are now, may be different from where and who we are next year, and the year after that. So to 16-year-old me, Hanamatsuri is still of course about flowers, but right now, I also see it as a celebration of us being gathered here, right now. So today, on this special occasion, let's take the time to celebrate the beautiful bouquet of flowers we are for today as a Sangha, because just like the many blooming flowers we have here in front of us, we will continue to change as well. Thank you.
Congratulations, Cassidy and Andrea. And thank you both for your Hanamatsuri messages. They're so mature. Thank you. Now we will recite the 3 treasures which can be found on page 91. That's page 91. Please stand if you are able and read it along with me. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the 3 treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves our supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads, ages and myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Please join me in Kansho. Palms together. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you. You may be seated. Words of appreciation will now be given by Kurt Yasuhara.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. There's a lot that went on today to get this program together. There's a lot of people that aren't here that you don't see. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that was involved in today's service and program. And thank you for the wonderful Dharma message from Cassidy and Andrea. I thought that was really good. And I know I'd like to congratulate you on your scouting awards, because those aren't easy to obtain. So thank you for all your hard work. I'd like to thank the ministers and the minister's assistant. I'd like to thank Trishia for the musical accompaniment. And we have Ricky and Ken for the AV. And I can't forget Shirley. Thank you for the wonderful hosting of the program this morning. But I reiterate, thank you everyone for coming out today. It's really good to see everyone out here. I know it's not easy sometimes to get here, but you're all welcome and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. The announcements for today are in your program, so hopefully every one of you got a program. They're all listed in here, the announcements. The Dharma School kids are now excused to go to their group activity. And if you haven't offered sweet tea this morning, you may do so before you leave. Ralph would like to make one announcement, or several.
Sorry, thank you. Just a couple. If you ordered your bingo, tostada bingo, you could pick up your tickets next door and pay and so forth in the annex. And also the bazaar tickets are ready. So if you're here today, please pick up your bazaar tickets, Cultural Bazaar, so save the temple some postage, okay? If you have some friends who are not here today, you're welcome to pick up their envelopes as well. They'll be in the back of the Hondo and then next door. And then after the service is over, we'll need help taking the flowers down to the annex. So anybody who's able to help, that'd be appreciated. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now the Dharma kids are excused to go to your group activity, and if you haven't done sweet tea offering, you may do so now. We will now chant the Vandana Ti Sarana, which can be found on page 96. That's page 96. And it will be led by Reverend Imori.
Please join me from the beginning. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Reverend Imori will now give the adult Dharma message.
Good morning. Okay. Please join me in Gassho as I read an abridged passage from the Contemplation Sutra. Rows of jeweled trees are evenly arranged, and their leaves are equally spaced. From among the leaves appear wonderful blossoms which spontaneously bear fruits of 7 jewels. Like the celestial ornaments, the leaves are of 1,000 colors and 100 patterns. These trees have marvelous blossoms which are the color of gold from the Jambu River and spin like fire wheels among the leaves. From these blossoms appear various fruits, and from the fruits issue forth great floods of light, which transform themselves into banners and innumerable jeweled canopies. Inside the jeweled canopies can be seen reflections of all the activities of the Buddha throughout the universe of 1,000 million worlds. The Buddha lands in the 10 quarters are also reflected in them. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, everybody. Happy Hanamatsuri. Happy birthday to Shakyamuni Buddha. So, take a moment, look at the wonderful flowers that surround you today. I don't know about you guys, but they make me very, very happy. I'm filled with joy just being amongst the flowers. Fortunately, I don't have allergies, and those of you that do, my family has allergies, and they are truly suffering, and they probably would be sneezing were it not for something like Zyrtec. I think it's Zyrtec, right? Anyway, what I'd like to talk about today are, guess what? Guess what the topic is? Flowers. And because I'd like to share what I believe is the significance of flowers as a symbol in Buddhism, and in particular in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. I am a fan of NHK World. It's a program, NHK program, based out of Japan, but they have an English version of it. And actually they have versions in many different languages. So the other day I happened to be watching a show, and it was called Flower Art, Ephemeral Colors for the Mind and Soul. And the narrator opened this segment with the following. Elegantly blooming flowers manifest the beauty of nature changing over time. The beauty of nature changing over time. In other words, flowers as a symbol of nature and of life itself. This is the teaching of impermanence, right? For me, flowers exude not only beauty in their peak bloom, but the buds. The buds to me make me think of birth and growth. And as the flowers begin to wither and die, for me, they represent aging and death. However, the hopefulness in the beauty of the flowers is in the seeds that they leave behind, the seeds of the next generation. And this represents the cycle of life and death. And today, Cassidy Muraoka very eloquently shared her thoughts also about the flowers. And both girls, I think, really appreciate and have studied and truly understand the symbolism of the flowers. And they have done so by participating in lessons at Dharma school. We have studied Buddhism in both their Padma and Sangha programs, and they, I hope, will continue to take those teachings with them as they now move in. They're still in the bud stage, right, of their life. Cassidy is a junior currently in high school, and Andrea is going to be graduating here very shortly. And I don't see her parents. I think they're helping with the tostada lunch in the kitchen. But I understand that she's been accepted to, I think, all 5 or 6 schools, colleges that she applied to. And I happen to know, I think her top choice is UCLA because mom and dad went there. And I understand also she's on a waiting list for Harvard. So both girls are doing well, not just in their spiritual lives, but also their academic and their personal lives. I'm really, really proud of them. I've only been here for 7 years, but I've got to watch them grow. I've had an opportunity to watch them grow over the years and really take leadership roles in their youth organizations and here also in the Sangha. So what I'd like to do today is for all of us to, and if you'd like to, you may even come up. I'd like for us for a minute or two to really reflect on, to really look at the flowers and that are surrounding us. And in that moment or two that you're reflecting, think about the feelings, whether they be curiosity, whether they're the thoughts or emotions that you might be experiencing as you gaze upon these flowers. Think about where the flowers are in their stage of life. Think about where you are in your stage of life and what that all means to you. So please, you can either sit quietly and just imagine the flowers in your mind with eyes closed, or if you want, even come up and look closely at the flowers. And let's do that for about a minute, if we could. Reflect upon the image of Buddha in Lumbini's garden. Imagine in your mind what the scene, and it may be mythological, but imagine that scene in your mind of all the beautiful flowers surrounding that birth, the fragrances that fill the air, the sweet rain bathing the Buddha. Reflect upon the people that raised these flowers, that grew these flowers, harvested them, especially when I think about the family that has donated every year these beautiful, beautiful orchids. Reflect upon the families, the children who put together the Hanamido so lovingly and with so much joy as they came together to create this beautiful Hanamido. I'm filled with a tremendous amount of gratitude. Gratitude for the Sangha, for all of you being here today to help us celebrate Hanamatsuri. And as I personally reflect upon the flowers, I see that these flowers are in their peak bloom. As I age, as my hips get a little more sore, if I'm not exercising them, I think about where I am in the stage of my life. And as I look at some flowers, as I look at photos of flowers that are beginning to wilt a little bit, I think about my little age spots that I'm starting to get, the wrinkles that I'm seeing on my face. Does that make me sad? Maybe a little bit, because I'm nearing the end of my life. But when I think about this gift this privilege of having encountered the Jodo Shinshu school, having encountered the Dharma, because I was not born into a Buddhist family. I came to the Dharma maybe about 20 years ago, and it was truly a gift of life for me. It was a gift of hope for me. And these flowers for me are a representation of life, my life. It's a representation of the beauty of my life. It reminds me that I also had a bud period in my life, lots of happy memories. I had a peak period in my life where I worked maybe a little too hard. And now the, wilting piece of my life, but nevertheless, I still have life. These flowers have not totally wilted. These flowers still have life in them, and that gives me a reminder that I too must accept and acknowledge the impermanence of life and embrace my unique life, thinking about all the gifts that I have received, not what I don't have, but what I have received, the nourishment. And who was it that asked, what kind of flower are you? I think for me, I think I'm that lotus seed. And that's one of my favorite stories, is that lotus seed that was so surrounded by mud, by muck, and yet was so lucky to be able to draw from the nutrients in that ugly environment, found the light, which for me was the Dharma and Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, and then through the mud, through the muck, grew. And I hope today that I am a lotus bloom, and that I will continue to be able to blossom as a lotus until it's my time. But until then, I think that all of us that are sitting here today, we're all blessed. And I think about Miss Ruth back there, 101. She's still walking, and I saw that when Naomi came to get her, somebody offered her her cane to use to walk up here. She refused it. She is still living life to the fullest. So she can't hear me back there, but I will relay the story on to her. And all of you also, wish her happy 101. She turned 101 in February. So please join me as I reread the small quote from the NHK program. Join me in Gassho. Elegantly blooming flowers manifest the beauty of nature changing over time. Flowers being a symbol of nature and of life itself, this is the teaching of impermanence. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Thank you, Reverend Imori, for your talk on flowers and the various stages of the flowers and the various stages of our lives. I think I'm joining you right up there with the wilting flower part, but we still have life. Thank you. Okay, next, please stand if you're able for the gatha Ondokusan II, which can be found on page 128. 128.
Nyorai dai no Ondokusan 知識知識の音読も骨を砕きてもシャスレシナマンダブツナマンダブツナマンダブツ
合唱、ナモイダブツ、ナモイダブツ、ナモイダブツ、ナモイダブツ、ナモイダブツ。Thank you. You may be seated. Now we'll have closing music meditation with the music provided by Trishia. People take different roads seeking fulfillment and happiness. Just because they are not on your road doesn't mean they've gotten lost. By the Dalai Lama. Gasho, Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, Trishia. Now I'll reiterate the thank yous. Thank you, Reverend Imori, for officiating today's service and providing the adult Dharma message on flowers. Thank you to Andrea Covarrubias and Cassidy Muraoka for the Dharma talk, also on Hanamatsuri. Thank you to Certified Minister's Assistant Yukari Williams for assisting today. Thank you to Trishia Carinio for playing the piano. Thank you to Reverend Ken Muraoka and Ricky Cheeks for live streaming and technical support. And thank you, Reverend, for ringing the Kansho this morning. And thank you to all of you for coming to temple today to celebrate Buddha's birthday. Reverend Imori will be around after service if you have any questions. And downstairs, I believe in the lunchroom, they will have hospitality before lunch, so if you want to grab a snack and socialize. And then over in the annex, we'll be having the tostada and bingo, which is the fundraiser for Lahaina. And if you have not bathe the Buddha and pour sweet tea, you may do so now before you leave. Thank you very much for your attendance.
And thank you to Shirley Omori for chairing the service.